Okay, today we're diving into something that could put thousands of extra dollars in your pocket. Negotiating a raise that your boss can't refuse. And trust me, you got this. So I have a coworker, let's call her Jane. She is an extremely talented developer who consistently delivers great work. But she sees everyone getting promoted and earning more while she stays stagnant at the same level. Every day, she would work harder and harder, hoping someone would notice her dedication and reward her accordingly. Then one day we were talking, and she realized that hoping for recognition wasn't enough, that she needed a strategy or a plan. So she started documenting every win, tracking every achievement, and building relationships across different departments. And based on that, she was able to start quantifying her contribution and connect it directly to company goals and revenue. And by doing that, she not only secured a raise, but she increased her total compensation by 32%. So ever since then, she continues to systematically grow her income by using tactics that we're going to talk about today. Remember, we're talking about the growth framework: G for generate income, R for reduce expenses, O for optimizing investment, and W for building your wealth. And we've been talking about G for generate income, in this case, through a raise. Before we jump into the 4 steps that you're going to do to get a raise, let me tell you a piece of information that's going to be helpful. It costs companies in general almost $5,000 to replace you. And that's just the iceberg. This $5,000 is used for recruitment, interview time. It doesn't even include productivity declines, training costs to get someone up to speed. And it usually takes about 6 months for someone to get to a fully producing team member. That's not something you're going to bring up in a negotiating conversation, but it's something to keep in the back of your head that it costs your employer real money to replace you. For step number 1, you're going to want to benchmark your worth. And what I'm talking about here is knowing your true market value. Most professionals dramatically undervalue themselves simply because you don't know the data. You're doing your job. You're not looking at what's out in the marketplace. Today, I'm going to talk about exactly how to research your worth. And I promise you, you're going to discover opportunities you never knew existed. First, we're going to do some industry research. We're going to pull up glassdoor.com, salary.com, and indeed.com. And we're not just going to look at one number. We're going to kind of triangulate the data from each of these sources and come up with a range of numbers. Glassdoor.com really excels at company specific salary insights, where salary.com kind of provide breakdowns by experience level. And then you've got Indeed, which is literally job listings. So there you can see the job listing, the required skills, the preferred skills, and then what salary range they're offering. But we don't want to just look at salary by itself. We want to look at your total compensation, because that includes salary, that includes performance bonuses and profit sharing, which can be significant. That includes retirement contributions from the employer, stock options or RSUs, health insurance premiums, and any kind of overtime or extra available compensation. We want to take a look at the whole package. In addition to monetary compensation is non-monetary benefits, and these have a price tag. They have a real legit dollar price tag, or they have a quality of life price tag, which is worth money to many people. But oftentimes people don't think about it. So you want to consider like work environment, the role remote. Is it hybrid? Is it in a big fancy downtown office? Is it in a little boutique place? Those kinds of things. You want to look at work-life integration. Is this a solid 9 to 5 type situation? Are you on the phone all day? Do you have flexibility? Can you come and go? Can you go on your child's field trip? That kind of thing. And of course, you want to look at the role. Is this a management role where you have a bunch of people? Is that something you want or don't want? Can you make your own decisions, or do you need to go up a hierarchy? What are the growth opportunities? What is the stress? What are the on-call requirements? Are you expected to work 24/7? So we're going to want to consider total compensation, and non-monetary compensation. I recently had a client who turned down a position that was $20,000 more because it required her to return to the office full time. And when we calculated her true cost, commute, gas, parking, lunch expenses, reduced flexibility, that $20,000 actually represented real money and quality of life for her. So remember, your time and your well being have real monetary value. Next, we're going to look at skill value research. We're going to dive into exactly determining what your skills are worth. This is one of the most powerful things that is overlooked aspects of salary research. We're on Indeed or LinkedIn and we're looking at job postings. We're going to pull up like 10 or so job postings for your target role. And we're going to create two columns, the required skills and the preferred skills. We're going to look at required skills, preferred skills, and your skills. And what are the gaps and identify those. And that's going to help us see where we're going to fit in with what they want. And I do keep in mind, employers often throw everything into what they want. That's not even realistic. Like all of these very uber technical skills and then all these amazing soft skills and things that sometimes don't jive. So don't let that dissuade you. We're just learning, we're just being curious, we're just kind of pulling stuff together. When you're doing the skills research, certification type things might be something. I know in financial services, for example, my son is a stockbroker and he has a Series 7, a 66, and he's working to get a CFP, which that designation alone will bump his salary by a lot and his opportunities. So certifications or licenses in this case, those make a difference. And I know in our tech world, we often look at the technology stack. If you are a developer, for example, your skill sets, are they based on legacy, old technology, or do you have a lot of newer skills? Because that's going to make a difference. For example, if you're a data analyst and you've got super strong Excel, but if you also have Python and SQL, you could earn up to 30% more looking at skills. And LinkedIn Premium Insights has a lot of these salary tools as well. And you can filter by different things like industry. Also, look at different people's profiles in LinkedIn and see how their skills match up to yours. Another thing you can do here is you can just reach out to some recruiters. And they're all over LinkedIn. Just connect with two or three and say, hey, I'm researching market rates for professionals with this skill set. What are you seeing out there? And that can give you a lot of good information. Then also consider where you stand in the market. Are you entry level, like 0 to 3 years in this industry? Are you mid level or are you an expert and you've been in this industry and this role for 10 or more years? Because that's also going to play a crucial part. That is step one, which is benchmarking your worth. Now you're going to do step two, which is show your value. Here's what most people get wrong about asking for a raise. They treat it like it's one single conversation, but in reality, a successful raise negotiation is kind of like a strategic campaign that starts months before you have the actual conversation. What you're doing in this step of show your value is you're building an undeniable case for a raise before you even mention money. First up is you have to become visibly invaluable. And I focus on visibly because this is what Jane was doing wrong. She was invaluable, in fact, but she wasn't making it known. It's not enough to just show up and do amazing work. That work has to get noticed. So here's how you get noticed. You can take on projects that directly impact revenue or cost savings. That's a great way to do it. When you choose between two tasks at work, always kind of ask yourself, which one of these tasks is going to affect the bottom line? And that's where you're going to start. That's going to be your priority. For example, if volunteering to lead the team that reduces customer churn by 2% is on your task list and organizing the office holiday party, you're going to do the first one because that is going to visibly make you more valuable than the office party. Next, you want to document because remember, you're making it known, you're making your value visible. And so you've got to collect documentation because the truth is, none of us have great memories. We just don't. We forget things and it's hard to remember all of the great things that you did. There's two easy ways, actually, you could do this. One, you create kind of a wins, and every time you get, let's say, a thank you email from a client or a coworker, it goes in the win folder. If you finish a project and you've got metrics and results, goes in the win folder. If you have a screenshot of positive feedback, goes in the win folder. You're getting the idea. The dashboard screenshot of some metric goes in the folder. Problems you've solved and the impact in the folder. So you're creating this career wins folder and you will have everything there to document how valuable you are. Every time we systemize something, it makes these things so much easier. So you could even set up a 15-minute calendar every Friday, let's say 10 to 10:15, you're going to update your wins folder. It's as easy as that. Or if you don't want to do a folder, you could have a spreadsheet. And every Friday, for 15 minutes, you're documenting your accomplishments for that week. Remember, this is not about being a bragger. It's about building a clear, evidence-based case for your value so that when you walk into a salary discussion, you're not just hoping for a raise, you're presenting a business case that's hard to refuse. For this step, show your value. Today, create your wins folder or your wins spreadsheet. Set up your reminder for Friday at 10, 10:15, whatever time you want. List your 3 highest impact projects from the last month. We have benchmarked our worth. We have started to collect evidence to show our value. Now we're going to make that evidence quantifiable. And here's where we're going to talk about turning your achievements into hard numbers that your boss can't ignore. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to open our wins folder or our wins spreadsheet, however you choose to do it. And we're going to create 3 buckets. We're going to create revenue impact bucket, efficiency gain or cost savings bucket, and team and company growth bucket. In the revenue bucket, we're going to put all of our things that had direct sales or lead generations, things that impacted revenue like customer retention improvements, new business opportunities that were created, anything that directly increases revenue, we're going to put there. In the second bucket, we're going to put anything that saved costs or gained efficiency, time saved through creating process improvements, resource optimization, cost reductions, those kinds of things go there. And in the third bucket, anything that attributed to team company growth, projects that expanded your capabilities or the team's capabilities, new skills that maybe you brought to the team, training or mentoring contributions, those things will go in that third bucket. And here's what most people do that goes wrong is they have a list of activities they did instead of outcomes. So you want to make sure to focus on outcomes. And here's what I'm talking about. Instead of saying something like, I manage the customer service team, you're going to want to say something like, I led a 6-person customer service team that improved response times by 40% and increased customer satisfaction from 7 to 9. Very specific, can't deny it, evidence-based, strong. Here's another example. Instead of saying something like, I created social media content, you're going to say, I developed and executed a social media strategy that grew engagement by 65%, generated over 100 leads in Q3. Okay. So we benchmarked our words. We're showing, we're pulling together evidence to be visible, and we're making sure that evidence is quantifiable. Now it's time to have the talk. We're going to have the talk. So here's where most people crash and burn, but not you. You're going to learn exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to handle the objections. First, you want to consider the timing of this conversation. You want to book your meeting between Tuesday and Thursday, not on Monday and not on Friday. Just too many things are going on when people start their week on Monday and when they're trying to wrap it up on Friday. You want to have it be like mid-morning, not right away and not at the end of the day. So be strategic about when you set up this talk. You know your company and your boss, so you set it up within what makes sense to be the best time to have the conversation. You're going to want to have thought through what your ideal target number is. And here's the rhetoric or narrative of which you want to say, and the specific achievement you want to highlight, which resulted in a measurable impact. And here's an example. the customer retention program. I developed an increased revenue by 32%, adding 287,000 in recurring revenue. Based on these contributions and my research on market rates, I'd like to discuss adjusting my compensation to reflect the increased value. Notice what we did there. We led with results, not like a request. Think of your different achievements and how you can create your sentences to lead with results. Now you're going to have probably 4 common responses. One is going to be, yes, great job. Confirm the specifics, get it in writing, and you're good to go. Or your boss is going to say, maybe later. Here you can say, I understand. Could we set his specific goals and schedule and a follow-up time to review? This way, you're not just letting it hang out there. You're like, what do I need to do? And when can we discuss it again? Basically, this is a very common one is, there's just budget constraints. And so be prepared to appreciate the budget consideration and maybe say, could we explore a phased increase or additional responsibility that could justify? So if there's a budget constraint, are there other options to dealing with that? And then you're going to have the potential all out no. And here you want to just stay professional. Could you help me understand what specific achievements or metrics would warrant a compensation adjustment? There you just want to get more information. Be curious. What's the no about? And how can you get there? Before you have the last step, which is you're having the talk, make sure you practice your plan. Record yourself making the case, practice with a friend and get their feedback, knowing that body language, facial expression, all of these play a part, and time your key points. Key phrases to use is based on my track record, as demonstrated by, which resulted in, leading to improvements of. Those are the kinds of words that you want to use. Things you want to stay away from, which is very challenging in a negotiation, is I think I deserve, I feel like maybe we could, or I just wanted to talk to you. That's not really exuding confidence. So, so to get started on getting your raise, you're going to start utilizing these 4 steps. Today, you're going to start your wins folder or your wins spreadsheet. Today, you're going to schedule a calendar reminder to update your documentation, your wins folder, or your spreadsheet. And today, just map out your 3-month strategy so that you have a timeline of what you want to do when of these 4 steps so that you, in 3 months' time or whatever time you decide, you're ready to have that conversation. Most of all, remember, you're not asking for a favor. You're presenting a business case proving your value. And your documentation tells the story of someone who consistently delivers value and steps up, and you have evidence to show it. I want to wrap up with some insights. Cal Newport's book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, is a fantastic book. I highly recommend that you read it. He talks about how people who end up loving their work don't just follow their passion, they become incredibly valuable first. They develop rare and valuable skills that give them what he calls career capital. Think about it. When you become truly excellent at something, you gain the leverage to shape your role, negotiate better conditions, and create meaningful impact. And that's when work becomes fulfilling. And like he says here, why skills trump passion in the quest for work you love. So this I highly recommend. Friends, if you know someone who is or should be negotiating a raise, send them this episode, share it. Also head over to hermoneycoach.com to get even more tips delivered straight to your inbox. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch every upcoming episode. See you next time. And remember, you have the power to change your financial future. And I'm here cheering you on every step of the way.